Well, I just want to jump on my other channel here and give some of you viewers a realistic idea of how much it really costs, at least in my opinion, to get into an entry-level camera above and beyond the smartphone sitting in your pocket. And I got some notes here I want to go over with you guys. Before I go over these notes, let me just quick run through the gear that I ended up purchasing and then ended up returning it all because I did see an improvement on the video, but it was pretty marginal. But the only thing I really improved on was that nice blurry background, that nice bokeh background. But was it worth even the most expensive smartphone, such as an iPhone 14 Pro Max? Like, it's roughly $1,400, and all this gear I ended up purchasing was pushing $2,600. Was it worth more than $1,000 to get that nice bokeh blurry background? I can always achieve the 4K resolution. And I think these newer phones, especially as the iPhone 14 Pro Max, the Galaxy S22, especially the Galaxy S23, it's supposed to come out here February 1st. Especially with the software that's running those lenses on those smartphones that can produce that nice artificial blurry background, I don't think the average user is going to know, especially you taking the video. And yeah, your experts will probably notice the difference, but it's getting to the point, especially probably within the next 2 years from now, that I'm not saying these cameras, especially these entry-level cameras, are going to become obsolete, but like, in my opinion, what's the point? But before I go through these notes here, I just want to go through what I end up purchasing along with the Sony ZV-E10. You know, the Sony ZV-E10, and I purchased all this from Amazon, and I made sure it was shipped from Amazon for a reason. In case I didn't like it, I could return it, and that's exactly what I ended up doing. But the ZV-E10 body itself here with tax was $736. And this is what it came with. It only came with one battery, which is definitely not enough. The next thing here I ended up purchasing was a Sony shotgun mic, the ECM-B10. And that shotgun mic here was $264 with tax. I actually did like this microphone. It actually did a really good job. I had 3 different settings where I could record and prioritize the sound just in the front, or if I want to do the front and the back, or a 360-degree view. It was nice, especially with the dead cat that came with it. I ended up not getting the kit lens. I just got the body only. Ended up getting the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens, which is an exceptional lens, especially if you want that nice blurry bokeh background. And that Sig lens here was $358. And was, in my opinion, when I was using it, it was the best lens out there. And the reviews on all these, what was the best lens for the ZV-E10, is definitely true. If you are going to get this camera body, this is one of the lenses that I would beeline it to right away. Also wanted something that had some variable magnification. I ended up going with a Tamron 17 to 70mm. I also had in-body stabilization on the lens itself. And this lens was actually more than the camera body itself. And this Tamron 17 to 70 lens was $738. And then also I ended up getting some variable ND filters. If you're new to this, especially when you're outside and the sun's out, you're definitely going to want to get some type of ND filter or variable ND filter, so you don't have to crank up that aperture. You want to keep that aperture nice and low, you know, keep that nice blurry background. And with the K&F ND filters and the caps, I figured I might leave these filters on while I'm out at the range. I want to get some nice caps for that. I ended up getting these step-up rings so I could attach these larger 82mm ND filters to a 67mm lens thread pattern to reduce that vignetting. The variable ND filters here from K&F was $159. The caps was $36, and the step-up rings was $30.13 here. So you can see this is starting to add up really, really quick. Obviously, you're going to need some type of SD card. I ended up going with the 256 Lexar Professional. That was $63. Obviously, with the ND filters, I needed some type of bag, depending on which ND filter I was using at the time. The bag itself was $15. You need a cleaning kit, obviously. So this cleaning kit was $32 with tax. The ZV-E10 at least the body on that entry-level camera is made out of plastic. I was kind of concerned about it getting damaged, so I ended up getting this small rig camera cage, which is $63. Just initially right out of the gate, I realized the one battery wasn't going to be enough. If you leave that screen on, especially when you're outside and you crank up the brightness on that screen, that killed that battery, no joke, within 45 minutes. So I bought 2 additional batteries, 3 total batteries with the charger, and it still wasn't enough. And I ended up buying a whole nother 3-set pack. And at that point, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. That's when I kind of made the decision, I'm going to return this. I can't be screwing around with 6 total batteries when I know with these latest smartphones, I could go literally all day and not have to worry about 6 different batteries. But at least for the additional 2 battery pack here with charger, that was another $40. So you can see here, right out of the gate, in my opinion, if at a bare minimum, you're trying to get over something that's going to produce quality of an iPhone 14 Pro Max or a Galaxy S22, I think you're going to need all this gear to accomplish that, especially if you want that nice blurry bokeh background. And is just my opinion, you're instantly going to get the 4K quality out of a smartphone in comparison. And the video quality might be a little bit better, but not much. What you're really trying to achieve is that nice professional bokeh blurry background. And is it worth this additional over $1,000 difference in comparison to the most expensive smartphone right now, the iPhone 14 Pro Max? At that point, I just kind of threw up my hands and said, do I need a backpack to lug all this in? Which I did purchase this for all of this. I decided I'm going to keep this. It's actually so nice. But it just got to the point where I'm like, this is just getting ridiculous. And especially when Galaxy announced their S23, I decided to just return it all. And I just want to go over these notes with you quick here. And I want to make sure I don't miss anything out here, especially you guys are just getting into the game and considering buying the ZV-E10 or entry-level camera. And first and foremost, I'm not trying to change anyone's minds here. This is just my experience, opinion, and purpose. But I started my main channel with 20,000 subscribers with 3 million views with an iPhone 5 SE, SE up to 2016 to 2019, and then switched over to the Galaxy S10 Plus, which I'm recording this right now in 4K. And that's the point I'm trying to make here is, do you really need something like this for your average YouTuber, especially for the average person watching that video footage? And most likely not. Unless you want to jump down that rabbit hole and learn all that stuff, it's something you really need to consider. And the next point I'm trying to make here is, I want to share realistic cost of an entry-level camera such as the ZV-E10 with additional gear. It's much more than just the body of $700. Some of these camera bodies, as you go up, can easily, just for the camera body itself, be $2,500. And that's what I have, all this gear along with the camera body itself. And it gets to the point of, where do you draw the line in the sand? The additional gear, especially when not using the kit lens to get the best picture more than a phone within the last 2 years, is much more expensive than even the iPhone 14 Pro Max of $1,400. If you're going to use anything less than the ZV-E10 with quality lenses and gear, I would recommend just sticking with your average phone in your pocket. Which leads me to the next point here is, probably within 4 to 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't be making this video, but phone advancements have come so far for the average user that most people aren't going to be able to tell the difference. High-end phones built, especially within the last 2 years, it's weighing the difference of, are you really going to see the picture quality difference between the two? And I just don't think you are. At least for the average user, that is, not the expert user. And if you are trying to achieve that nice blurry background, then yeah, so be it. But is it totally worth that, $1,000 plus and the extra space for the gear? And in my opinion, I just don't think it is. Another point here I'm trying to make here is, if you're willing to learn and implement the exposure triangle here of aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, then entry-level cameras, even such as the ZV-E10, can produce quality photos and videos that are better than even the iPhone 14 Pro Max. But a lot can be said about using just the automatic intelligent feature or using manual mode or something like aperture priority mode. And, if you're willing to learn and implement the above previously mentioned aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, then do you have the time for that? When I go to shows such as SHOT Show and I'm setting up my gear and these vendors are waiting for me, I don't have that time. And I'm sure you can learn that. And if you're willing to learn it and you can implement it really quick, then so be it. But for your average user, they're probably not going to. I mean, like, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer over here, but I'm just being realistic, especially with these new modern smartphones that you can just whip out of your pocket and go. I mean, is it really, really worth it? One thing I want to mention, though, is microphones are on a whole different level. Regardless if you're using a smartphone or an entry-level camera, you really need a quality microphone. Matter of fact, I'm recording this on the Wireless Go 2. And I actually did really, really like that Sony shotgun mic. It did work exceptionally well. But some of the things that I didn't like about the ZV-E10, I made a quick list here, was just the extra bulk over the smartphone in your pocket. The other thing was a rolling shutter. If you're trying to do some type of vlogging thing while you're walking or you're trying to get things on the go, you're going to run into that rolling shutter where that screen will kind of wave, and you got to fix that somehow, either with a software program such as Catalyst Browse or a gimbal. Once again, you're just adding more things to the list above and beyond $2,600 for these newer smartphones that you can pull right out of your pocket, especially like the iPhone 14 Pro Max or Galaxy S22. The video is already stabilized for you to the point where you don't even need a gimbal. The other thing is with the ZV-E10, the screen was so small, especially as I get older here, I'm pushing 50, and the screen was so small that I had to crank up the brightness, which killed the battery, and I couldn't really tell if the shot was in focus or not. And I literally had to get out my readers, and I never have to do that even with my Galaxy S10 Plus that I'm recording this with right now. And it doesn't have a viewfinder, so it's really hard to verify that. So it's something you really got to keep in the back of your mind. And the last thing was just the battery life. Once I got to, 4 or 5 plus batteries just to get through a day of shooting, it just wasn't worth it for me. So I don't know. I hope this helps some of you guys, especially if you're trying to get into the game, you're just starting a YouTube channel. But I just like sharing my experiences with you. Well, if you find this video helpful, like I said, I'm not trying to change your mind, especially if you want to learn about photography and videography. The ZV-E10 is a great option for you, but I'm just being realistic. It's just not the camera body itself of roughly $740, especially if you get the kit lens. You're going to be well over $800 plus all the gear. I got a feeling here in roughly 2 to 3 years, I'm not saying cameras are going to become obsolete, but for the average user, they just might. Well, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Starting up this new channel here above and beyond my other channel. I have a lot more videos coming in, especially with the cargo trailer conversion. I'm in the middle of winter here, negative temperatures. And as spring rolls around, I plan on getting those videos done. The pictures are already done. The cargo trailer's done. I just need to explain it all. I think some of you guys are going to find it really interesting. I'll see you guys in the next video.